Welcome to the Jeremy and Andy Talk Movies podcast. I am Jeremy.
I am Andy.
And Andy, we are just two guys right now existing in a digital platform, doing this podcast.
Indeed, we are.
It's a little different than maybe people imagined it would be back in was it like 82 when the first Tron movie was made?
I think something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, we're going to be talking about Tron Ares,
Yeah.
which is the third installment in this Tron universe, which, I don't know if I really have a grasp on what the level of popularity is of the Tron world.
That's a great point. I have no idea. Really, just no idea.
I think, it's obviously not as big as many of the franchises we have going, but I think there's probably some pretty passionate fans out there. The fans they have are passionate fans, from what I can tell on social media.
That's fair, yeah. But yeah, it's like, I don't know, isn't it probably like mid-tier popularity for a franchise maybe? I don't know. It's a hard one to kind of put your finger on the pulse of it.
Yeah. I had no relationship to the original Tron. It came out just too early for me, and I think it was a movie that was dated pretty quickly. So if you didn't catch it when it came out, you're not gonna have that like connection to it. And then Tron Legacy was a movie that came out, and I was like, it's fine. It's made by very capable people. It's made by our guy Joseph Kaczynski.
Right.
But I mean, it's like a movie I watched once and never watched again, and I didn't feel like it was a big hit when it came out. I mean, maybe it did well financially, but it just didn't have like a big cultural impact.
Yeah.
And I've been surprised by I think Tron Ares has brought. When I look at social media, I see all these people posting about Tron Legacy and how much they loved it, and I'm like, oh wow, are we? Has this movie been redeemed at some point? I don't remember. I don't know. It's just funny.
It's a strange franchise. It is. And like I said, it's just kind of hard to get an idea of what kind of popularity it has. I'm like you, like even though I'm older than you, the original Tron just never meant much to me. I mean, in the 80s there was just a lot of other things I was busy watching, Goonies, Gremlins, Back to the Future, Friday the 13th movies, all that, and Tron was just never one that was just really high on my radar, so
Well, I am going to do my best to give a summary of Tron Ares, and then we will jump into our thoughts on this newest installment. All right, so rival tech companies are competing for the latest strand of technology spawned from the world created in the original Tron, a code which allows them to create things from the Tron world into the real world and keep it there. But when one company plays dirty by sending in his digital soldier, Ares, he sets off a chain of events that will lead to a stylish, synthesized showdown.
there you go.
Was Tron Ares good?
No, and I just cannot remember the last time I was so indifferent about a movie after watching it. I mean, this movie ended, and I was just literally like, okay, that is a. I was telling my friend Clayton at work, I was like, it is a movie that exists, and I really don't have anything else to say about it.
Yeah, I think this might have been the first movie that I walked out of and I said, well, we've got a solid contender for middle movies of the year. Our top five middling movies of the year, because there's nothing about it that's necessarily like aggressively bad. It's not something we can come on and just make fun of and like, oh my gosh, this movie, can you believe it got made? There's just not a lot, like you said, to walk out and be like, well, that's going to stick with me or that's going to be memorable.
Yeah, I mean, I've literally already forgot, I feel like 40% of this movie. But yeah, and it does the thing like we talk about where it falls in the worst spot. It's obviously not great or even probably good, but it's not like we can just get on here and have a blast with it like Madam Web or Him or something like that. It just is in that dead zone.
Yeah. So I want to start by saying this. I think I'm not that surprised once I got into the movie that I think the previews for the movie are pretty misleading. Just in that, like, I think the preview sells the movie on like, now the Tron world and the real world are going to collide, and that's what this movie's going to be all about. And I kind of
Yeah.
had a feeling going in, I was like, I bet that's not really, like, that makes it look so big in scale. And it's really not that big of a scale movie. Now, there is the things from the Tron world, and I don't even know, here's the thing about this. Every time I say that, things from the Tron world, I feel like I'm probably getting the lore incorrect.
Right.
And people who like this are going to be like, it's not from the Tron, it's from this or something. And I'll be like, I don't, whatever, you
I don't
know?
care.
Yeah, I'm admitting I don't understand, but also it's not like the movie helped me really understand. They kind of just do it and trust you to just be like, okay, this is a thing that's happening.
It's strange. Like they almost treat this movie like the other two Tron movies were a way bigger deal than they actually were. Like this isn't Avengers Endgame where every little thing like we get it because we're so locked into this story. It's weird. It just falls really flat.
Yeah, so yeah, so it's not this big like worlds colliding thing. It's actually pretty contained, and there's not a ton of characters, and it's a few things come are created from that Tron world. And again, it's like a really super fancy 3D printing, basically. Like these lasers just like build up the things, and then they last for 29 minutes, like to a T. It's not no variance, and then collapse. So yeah, they're looking for this thing called the permanence code, and just man, I just always roll my eyes. It's like every time there's some sort of weird MacGuffin like that it just sounds so cheesy. Oh, we're in search of the permanence code. It's like you didn't have to. You don't even have to have that. Nobody's on the edge of their seat going like, "Are they going to find the permanence code?"
It reminded me so much of what was that last Star Wars, like Rise of Skywalker, where they have to like the Wayfinder, and that's just their MacGuffin, and it's like, wait, the what? Like they've never talked. I don't. Yeah, it's right off the bat, you're kind of like, oh, okay, they got to find this plot device.
Yes, they do. So I think the movie is though it's aware of what it's trying to be. I'll give it credit for that. And I think what it's trying to be is basically like it is just trying to be like a video game come to life, kind of a music video. It's just like a prolonged Nine Inch Nails music video with really cool visuals. It kind of knows that. And I'll give it this. Like, it does a great job with the visuals. Like, it looks good.
The visuals are cool, and I would even kind of creative in some parts. Like, oh, okay, I haven't necessarily seen something like that up on the screen before, but like we've talked about a million times, you got to have something interesting behind the visuals.
Right. Yeah. I want something to really care about, to really root for. And we just got to get into it because here's, one of the biggest issues of the movie is it stars Jared Leto. And, you know, you're supposed to care about this Ares character, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I could not care less about this Ares character. And it's not all on Leto because it's not like they built out this super interesting, character for him. But there's also just the baggage of going like, it's Leto, and I don't really care about Leto.
Yeah, like I'm glad you brought this up because it's almost like you have to ask the question, like, is Leto just done? Like, did he just get so weird? And I don't even know what all the stories about him are. I just know he has a bad reputation, and he, just yeah, like he's not likable. Like it's not like watching. It's like a few years ago, like with the combination of like Parks and Rec and like the Jurassic World movie, whether you liked it or not, where everyone was just kind of all in on Chris Pratt. Because like, man, this guy is just funny and likable and charming and all that stuff. And like Leto's just kind of the opposite of that. Like he's just not likable at all. And it's hard to get over that when you're watching this movie.
Yeah, it actually it led to a theory I wanted to run by you, and it's very much like what you were just describing. And my theory as I was watching it is I thought Leto is the anti Keanu Reeves. And by that I mean this. Like Leto is a talented guy. He is a good actor, I think. Like he actually he dives into roles, he does things that are different. He clearly has talent, but he is just not enjoyable to watch. As opposed to Keanu, who's like kind of comically like doesn't have range, doesn't really even seem like he tries to do things that are different, and yet it's just such a joy to watch him. And I bet you, I mean, like, I actually feel for Leto a little bit. He's got to be going like, man, what do I got to do? Like, I'm really trying here, and he is always really trying. And it's like, sorry, man, some guys like Keanu just don't even have to try, and they're just lovable. And you just don't, whatever it is, not everybody has it.
No, it's a great theory. I subscribe to it. But yeah, and like I said, I know there's like like you said, all this baggage that comes along with him, and I just try to avoid all that. I don't know or really care. But yeah, I mean, and, I don't know his IMDb by heart, but like he's ice cold to say the least. Like, I mean, Joker in that Suicide Squad movie that was terrible several years ago, and that wasn't really well received. And I can't even remember what all.
Morbius.
Oh, Morbius. I knew I was forgetting something. Yeah, a movie that people just love to hate, and that's what I'm saying too. Like at least Morbius fell so far into, it's just so bad. And we joked on here they tried to release it twice and it bombed both times and everything. So yeah, I don't know. Like Hollywood has all kinds of comeback stories, but it feels like Leto's just kind of done.
It's one of those things I didn't spend a lot of time thinking about it during the movie because I was generally kind of along for the ride. It wasn't like I was so bored during this movie, but I was kind of thinking at times in the movie, like, you know, who could have made this movie work if they, if it wasn't Leto, who would I have like said would be the ideal casting that could make a part like this work? And I never came to like a real answer or conclusion. I wasn't like, here's the guy, but sometimes again, you get the perfect marriage of part. All I kept thinking really was, and it's part of what spawned the Keanu Reeves comparison is it's kind of a Neo type character, and Keanu has that perfect like that quality about him that just fit that movie so perfect, where he's almost machine like in his acting, but it works. And you go like, yeah, you just needed somebody who weirdly just fit this part, and I don't know who it is.
I don't know either because ultimately the problem. I mean, and we've basically been saying it, but it's like this movie just doesn't need to exist. So it's kind of hard to, yeah. It's not like this was, it's like we were talking about the Smashing Machine, where it was like there's a great performance in this movie. It's not. I don't know that could happen in this movie. I don't know.
Yeah. I wouldn't go so far as to say great performance, but I thought there was one performance I really liked in this movie. Can you guess which performance that was?
Uh, I I I don't know what you're gonna say. I do like Evan Peters.
That was exactly what I was gonna say. I really like Evan Peters, and I thought he was good in this movie.
Yeah, he's good. Like, he was in some of those later X-Men movies, right? Like he was Quicksilver, and he did a good job there. And he was Dahmer in something. I didn't watch it, but yeah, like he's. I like him. Yeah, he's good in this movie. He's above the material.
Yes, he is. And that's it kind of made me say like, well, it's not that nobody can look good in this movie because he was making himself. I think he was coming off nicely, in the
Hmm.
part. Kind of doing the right amount of chewing the scenery, but
Yeah,
not too much. He
yeah.
wasn't too over the top, and he actually looked the part. Like I was kind of surprised because he early career he was playing a lot of like kind
Hmm.
of the doofus friend characters, and he actually they did a good job of like they dressed him up. He was wearing a nice outfit, but he had the
Right.
tattoos, and he just looked a little more. I don't know, just a little cooler. I'll just say it that way.
Yeah, he. I agree with you. I think he comes out of this movie looking good. This isn't like a Madam Web where everyone comes out taking a loss. Like it's not like that at all. Like Evan Peters is fine. He does a good job in this movie.
Yeah, I did. I want to throw out there that Arturo Castro plays in this movie. He's kind of a bit character. He plays like the main girl's coworker who's with her on a lot of the adventure, and I just really felt like they didn't have any sort of jokes or humor in the script of this movie, and they were like, "Hey man, just go like do some funny things."
Be funny, yeah. Throw some humor into this movie.
Listen, sometimes that works. Sometimes you get people who just like find the right places and inject humor in a movie. And you're like, great call. And sometimes it's just really obvious that you're like they really just tried to make this guy punch up the movie, and it was you know poor guy. It's like there's not always something you can do. So he's like making jokes about breakfast burritos and stuff, and it's like you're trying to add some humor, but this movie is it really takes itself serious, and I don't even necessarily mean that as much of an insult as it sounds when you're like, this movie really takes it serious, because they didn't think they were making like Lawrence of Arabia, but it's a it's a movie that tries to be like a serious action movie, and I was like, man, you don't see that as much anymore. Like Marvel, I mean, it's really had its impact on the movie world where it's like, yeah, you can make an action movie, but you got to have a lot of fun and quips and stuff. And this movie didn't have that, and it kind of stood out. It's like, oh yeah, they really don't. They're not doing a lot of humor in here or anything.
Yeah, you're right though. When they do try it, it's like, I don't think this is really working.
Yeah. I feel kind of bad, but not really. That we've talked a lot about the acting in this movie, and we even talked about Arturo Castro before we even mentioned that Greta Lee really plays the main character of this movie.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
but that's because I have zero to say about her character or her performance in this movie.
There's yeah, you're right. That what do you? I wouldn't know what to say if I had to. It's so yeah. It's just so forgettable.
Yeah, it was a very. I mean, all the characters are very generic in this movie for the most
They
part
are.
because it's
That's
not the
fair. Yeah.
point. She just her character had to exist as sort of the as a plot device basically.
Yeah. It's a pretty thankless part, and then nothing is really brought to it, from an acting standpoint. So it's a kind of just a bad combination.
Yeah. Of course, Jeff Bridges pops up in this movie for a cameo because he's got to be
Yeah.
the bridge across all the movies. He's the original
Right.
guy. Um, and I like Jeff Bridges, so it's always fun to see him pop up.
His like kind of old man voice is just it really pops. Like he's just got such a distinct sounding voice, and he's one of those guys like we've talked about it with different actors on here before. What he says just sounds important, even if it's just mumbo jumbo. Like it carries a little bit of a weight. So I don't blame them for trying to get him into this movie.
Yeah. There's also it does carry weight. He's got that sort of Zen like thing going on in this movie. But there's also always a little bit of Lebowski spliced into all his characters nowadays. So, it's like he's talking something really important, then he'll just be like, "That's great, man." And it just the way he does it, you're like, "There's a little bit of Lebowski thrown in there."
Little Lebowski there. Yeah, I do like Jeff Bridges though. It's always good to see him.
They really kind of ignore the second Tron movie, Tron Legacy of this movie, and so like Garrett Hedlund's character gets like no mention that I could catch
Yeah,
on to,
it's
or pictures.
strange.
They've
Yeah.
got all this reference to the original Tron, but it's almost like they were doing the like, yeah, we didn't like that one, so we're just going straight off the original type thing.
Yeah, and that can be annoying. And again, it ultimately just comes down to like I don't really even understand why this movie was made.
I you know I don't know, but if I had to guess, just based on like a little bit I know about how Hollywood works, I would guess it's some sort of rights thing that like, oh shoot, if we don't make another Tron
We
movie,
lose the rights.
exactly,
Yeah.
really got that feel to it.
You know what it kind of weirdly gave me the same vibes as, which is a movie we did, I think about a year ago at this time, was the third Venom movie. Just
Mm.
in the sense of like, it just really felt like same thing where it's like someone just had to make this movie, like literally like we're forced to make this movie. And it's kind of like we talked, I think probably Venom is worse than this maybe, but it was just
Yes.
yeah, it was just one of those deals. I remember talking about Venom and just being like, I just don't have a ton to say other than this wasn't great, and I don't know. It just kind of maybe it just kind of made me think of that because, like I said, I think it was about a year ago we did that, and same type of deal. Where it's like this just felt like a movie that somebody was forced to make.
You know what it reminded me of was it reminds me a little bit of Avatar.
Yeah,
And for multiple reasons. One, I'll tell you this: I went and saw this in IMAX in 3D. I don't see a lot of movies in 3D, but I did this one because I thought, I bet you. I just knew going in. I was like, I bet you if anything's good about this movie, it's going to be some cool visuals. And so let's see if they've done something cool with the 3D. And it was kind of cool, but just like with Avatar, where I was, I watch the Avatar movies and I'm like, ooh and ah when I'm watching it, and then I walk out and I just immediately forget about it because there's no emotional
Yep.
connection. I was like, this was like Avatar, a little bit even Avatar light because it's not quite as
Yeah.
like immersive and groundbreaking. And of course, Avatar thinks it's Lawrence of Arabia, so it is a little
yes, it
different
does. Yes, it does. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great comparison.
there. I do also want to say I think that the score from Nine Inch Nails is really good.
Yeah, and
fits
that
the
didn't
movie really
surprise
well.
me. And it was crazy. I kind of thought back after I watched this movie, like when it showed when I saw the trailer this summer and stuff, it made a point to say that like original score or whatever, like music by Nine Inch Nails. Like that was kind of one of the selling points.
Yeah, which is it's still I would like to know why they decided to do it like that because it's essentially Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross who do movie scores as Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, and why
Yeah.
they felt like no, this one needs to be
I don't know.
under the Nine Inch Nails label, and it might just be as simple as like Tron Legacy, I think was its soundtrack was just basically an album for Daft Punk, and they might have been like, this is
Hmm.
just a thing we're gonna do. We're gonna take kind of like these style artists and just let them like make a whole concept album, around it. I don't know.
I don't know either, but I did like the score.
Yeah, it's the type of thing like the score I could see. I don't know, just Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross do have some respect from the Academy, and I'm like, could Tron get a Best Score nomination, and suddenly Tron Ares is an Oscar-nominated movie? Probably not.
What
It's a little too like poppy techno for the Oscars, I think. But
what a year it would be if Tron Ares and Nine Inch Nails are nominated for an Oscar and Dwayne Johnson is nominated for an Oscar.
that would really be something. Yeah,
That would be something, man.
yeah. I mean, like it's not even just that. Like, could this get a nod for like Best Visual Effects? Like, maybe. I don't know. It probably wouldn't be my choice, but I mean, there's not a lot of there's not usually when I think of what's the movies of best visual effects, we've got like an Avengers or a big Christopher Nolan movie maybe or something. And right
Right.
now, if I just off the top of my head, I'm like, well, what was the big kind of visual movies this year? And I I don't know. I'm sure there's probably more than I can think of right now, but maybe Tron
Yeah.
Ares will have a shot.
It might, yeah, it's hard to tell because I don't, special effects have come so far now. Nothing really pops anymore. Like 20 years ago when I was younger, you knew if something came out, it was like, oh, that's going to win best visual effects because, you were still able to break new ground back then.
Because you could say things, yeah, you could say things like I've never seen anything like it before.
Yeah, and I know something will come out that'll prove me wrong, but we're to the point where it does feel like literally anything is possible now. So it's hard to tell, but that is just a funny thought to think of Tron Ares as an Oscar nominated movie.
I'll tell you what, it will not be winning any Oscars for, or not getting nominated for, is screenplay.
No, 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 that would be a sad sign of the times if that happened. No, that's not happening at all. Not even kind of.
So this is a weird one to get to. Like, do I recommend this or not? Because it's kind of a no, but it's one of those ones I'd be like, well, if you're gonna see it in the theater with the big screen for the visuals and the sound for the music. It's gonna be the best way to see it.
Yes.
But on the other hand, it's the most expensive way to see it. So it's like, like, do I recommend this or not? I don't know. It's tough.
I guess the right answer is just if you just have a love for all things Tron, then you might as well you might as well go see this one too. But I just don't know that there's a lot of those people out there in the world.
Yeah, no, it's Tron to me is, when I want to make Star Wars fans mad, I'm like, Star Wars is just they made cool laser swords and that's about it.
Yeah,
And they're
yeah,
like, oh come on, and like Tron, I'm like, they made these cool like laser bikes and that's it.
that's it. Yeah,
It's like they really like, hey, it is cool. I'll give you that. Like the laser, like
no
little light
denying
things
that.
they do,
Yeah,
it's cool. But like, you know, it's about
yeah.
that's about it. You're really, really riding that, that one advantage you have.
They really are, and I mean, I hate to sound negative, but it just kind of feels like this series probably just needs to go away. I mean, I just not really longing for more Tron in my life after this.
It is interesting for a movie series. Let's call it a successful movie franchise. In that it's at least been around for a long time and has name recognition and stuff.
Hmm.
A franchise based on video games or people getting sucked into video games, basically. I don't think it's ever been a successful video game, has it?
Not that I'm aware of.
Because like I watch this and I'd be like, I can imagine people like playing this,
Yeah,
but of course I'm not a big gamer, but
right. Same.
it's just funny to me that
I know it's that's
does it go both ways? Like movie people always say like, man, there's never good video game adaptations, or video game people being like, man, there's never good game adaptations from movies. I don't know.
maybe I don't know either, and which again just goes to what been saying is this whole franchise is just kind of it's just weird to me. I just can't figure out where it belongs in the movie culture.
Well, not surprising that the critics are lower on this movie than the fans.
Hmm.
On Rotten Tomatoes, this movie has a 55% from critics, which I think is hitting right about what we're saying. It's not like, oh, terrible.
Yeah, I honestly agree with that.
But fans or audiences are at 87%.
So there you go.
that's where I'm like, I think the people going to see it are the people who, I guess it does have sort of a following, and I think a lot of people are going in. I, it's probably getting that same thing of like people who do go see the Jurassic World movies still, and we're
Yeah.
kind of like, man, people really like these, and some people are like, I just like to go see big dumb fun, or the Kong and Godzilla movies, those sort of things.
Yeah.
They're like, I just want to go see big visual noise on the screen sometimes, and there's apparently more people like that than we realize, Andy.
There must be.
Although I'm not sure. I say that must be more people liking it than I realize. Andy, I have no idea how this is done at the box office. Do you have any info on that for me?
Yeah, I sure do. It did so-so. Like 33 million US, which is not a bad opening, but just 60 million worldwide. I do not know what the budget for this movie was, but I would imagine it's got a little ways to go before we start talking about profit.
It has to have a decent budget. I mean, it's like I said, it's not as big as the preview made it seem, but it's a pretty big like spectacle movie. I'd imagine a lot of money spent on effects.
It's got to be over $100 million budget.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. I'm seeing 180 million
Oof.
on what I've just Googled. So
Yeah, I don't see it at all coming close to that. And supposedly movies are supposed to like two time
yeah, double
double
their
their
budget.
budget. Yeah, so it seems like this is going to be a loss.
I'll say this. I guess they could have some hope in the foreign markets because, like I said, these big, noisy spectacle movies tend to actually perform pretty well overseas. Like in China, they tend to love the big, like our, Transformers and Kong versus Godzilla and such.
They do, and maybe it still hasn't opened somewhere like that. But like I said, I mean, 33 US, 60 million worldwide, including the 33. So I mean, it didn't
Yeah.
have any kind of big
Yeah.
impact. But it's sometimes movies open, a couple weeks after the fact. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think either way, I don't foresee this being. It's not going to be any kind of big hit. It most likely is going to be a loss.
All right, Andy. Well, I think we probably have exhausted about everything we could say about Tron Ares, a movie that we really dove almost none into the plot of the movie because
There's no reason to.
it's kind of hard to do because, like I said, you'd have to try to explain a lot that's hard to explain, just that ultimately doesn't matter.
Honestly, I mean, my timer shows like 28 minutes, which is honestly more than I thought we would get out of this.
Yes, it is. But we just want to talk briefly about, we both saw a movie at the theater besides Tron Ares, and so just give a little bit of insight into that. You saw the movie Good Boy,
I did.
which is something I am just dying to hear your thoughts about, Andy.
Yeah, so it's wild. It's a Shudder original. Shudder did our beloved Dangerous Animals earlier this year, and In a Violent Nature, Late Night with the Devil. So Shudder is a company or studio or whatever that I fully support because they really are specializing in making these low budget horror movies, and they're getting pretty creative with them, and I applaud it. I'm here for it because horror allows, I think, this low budget horror, I think, allows you to have a little bit of creativity and freedom. And look, this is an hour and 12-minute long movie, and it's all focused on the dog. I enjoyed it. I liked it. I thought it was I don't want to be like, it's an unbelievable movie, because there's really not a whole lot happening. It is a cool experiment, we'll call it. And they're doing a lot with a little, which is admirable. And it's honestly a genius idea because, the whole movie is focused on this dog. So right off the bat, like, who doesn't want to see a dog, survive a scary movie? So you do have a little bit of an attachment right out of the gate. And they do a cool thing. You never see a human in focus in this movie.
Interesting.
Like, there are human characters, but it never shows a human face in focus. It is truly just about this dog. So it's a win for Shudder, and it's already made almost like $5 million, and I think it cost way less than that. And great performance by Indy the dog.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, I give it a thumbs up, and I'm just here for Shudder original movies.
Yeah, I do remember you saying that when we did the Dangerous Animals podcast. You were like, talked about how much you enjoy Shudder.
Yeah, they're just
Trust the brand.
I do trust the brand, man. They're making they make horror, obviously, which I love, and then they're just I don't know, they're just hitting with me. I like Late Night with the Devil. I like In a Violent Nature. I like Dangerous Animals. I like Good Boy. So it's a win for me.
I went and saw Roof Man,
Hmm.
and I don't want to get too much into it, and we might talk more about it at some point if you get around to seeing it. But I just want to say that I went in with a very like tepid expectations.
Hmm.
I made the comparison that it felt like the I think it was called Fly Me to the Moon movie that he did last year with Scarlett Johansson, where it's like,
Hmm.
yeah, well made, likable people, blah blah blah, but just so like instantly
Bland.
forgettable. Yeah, so
Yeah.
bland. And this movie was better than that.
Oh,
And I
nice.
actually thought it was really good Channing Tatum. I walked out there going like,
Nice.
I forgot just how likable Channing Tates can be,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
old Channing Tates just kind of wins your heart in this movie, and
Good.
I just liked it more than I thought I would. And I was like, yeah, I appreciated Roofman. It's not going to be my top five of the year or anything like that, but
Right.
it's probably better than my middle five of the year. It's going to be one of those movies that I'm just like, hey, did you ever see that? That was pretty good. That'll be that type of movie.
That's great. That's the kind of movie I want to see more of. Just good, enjoyable movies. Not everything. You can't just say everything is the best movie or 100% or a 5 out of 5 or whatever. You just need good, decent movies out there in the world. So I'm glad to hear that. I want to see it. I'm going to try and get to see it.
Yeah. And of course, I'll always or not always. A lot of times, I'll give some context to say why maybe I felt a certain way in experience. I did see Tron Ares and then Roof Band. It was a double feature, and I think it was it kind of set up Roof Band nicely because after the we said it, the sort of big loud
Hmm.
experience of Ares, it was like, okay, I could use something a little more chill and just kind of hang out. And that's
Yeah.
what Roofman was. And I was like, this is a nice tone to settle into after Tron Ares. I don't know. I'm kind of curious. Like, if I had just gone in cold, would it have felt maybe a little slower and less eventful? I don't know. So
I
just
don't know either. I do
something
think
there.
it's gotten pretty good reviews too.
It has, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it
So,
had.
and that I saw that before I went in. And I was like, oh, that's encouraging. I'm be curious to see if I agree. And yeah, I walked out going like, I get it.
That's great. Like we always say, we want movies to win and to succeed. So, and it had
Absolutely.
a decent opening. I think it made like $8 million, which doesn't sound amazing, but
But it definitely had a significantly smaller budget
oh
than
yeah, I
Tron
mean
Ares.
a fraction of the budget, I'm sure. And it might be a movie that has a little bit of leg to it.
Uh, Andy, what's coming up this weekend?
I'm excited. You probably aren't, but I'm excited because the Black Phone 2 is coming out.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
am I'm excited about that. That is it's Ethan Hawke, and Ethan Hawke is good. So I mean it's like maybe hopefully he can elevate it a little bit. The Black Phone 1 was really enjoyable to me, just a good creepy thriller, and this one has a cool setting. It's like in the winter at like a church camp type situation, and I've seen the trailer at every movie I've been to for like the last 2 months. It's my kind of movie, so I'm excited about it. Molly and I are
Yeah.
gonna go see it.
I've been trying to decide like maybe I will go check out that movie, but I'm just curious. Do you think that that's one where I should watch the first one first? Do you think like it's the type of movie you're like, I bet you're gonna want to see that to understand? Or
I mean, if of course it would help because it is the same like brother and sister combo from the first one that are in this movie. I
I guess
certainly
it's
don't
just
think
like,
you.
is it sort of a lore building movie? Like, does it kind of have to build up like an understanding of the character and such? I don't know.
Probably not. And it's like you certainly aren't going to be lost watching the Black Phone 2 without having seen the Black Phone 1, but maybe
Gotcha.
it'll be one of those things where the Black Phone 2 is good enough that it'll make you want to go back and watch the Black Phone 1.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Good Fortune comes out.
Yeah, yeah. I'm interested in that.
I'm interested in that as well. Um, and then
I like Aziz Ansari all the way, back from Parks and Rec, so
absolutely. So, and it's got our guy Keanu in it, who, as I said, is just always enjoyable to watch on screen. I think that might end up being like a good double feature for me. Go watch Black Phone and get creeped out or something, and then go just chill and hang out and laugh with Good Fortune. So
I will try and do the same. So I also just am happy that like they're bringing out the Black Phone 2 like at Halloween time. Like it just seems like it should be a no-brainer that they do that, but I feel like there's years where I'm like, why is there not a good horror movie to go see? Like we're almost to Halloween. So kudos to them for bringing this out, right before Halloween.
Yeah, well, they're saving their big Halloween hit for the following week with Springsteen "Deliver Me from Nowhere." Perfect Halloween movie.
Absolutely, it is. Absolutely. Yeah, that. I think we talked about it on camera. I know we talked about it, you and I, but like your guy from YouTube's got his movie coming out, the Shelby Oaks.
Yeah, Chris Stuckman. Yeah,
Yes, thank you. Couldn't remember his name.
yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to be checking that one out for sure. And as I think I've mentioned a couple times on here, the OG Halloween's playing. So I'm excited for the next few weeks.
And when's the new Oz Perkins movie coming out that's been advertised a lot? Keeper. Do you know when that one comes out?
I do. November 14th, Molly's birthday. So that's what we're going to be doing for her birthday.
Oh, nice.
Which reminds me, we have sadly gotten away from the Uncle Chip Award.
I know.
Shame on us. Shame on us. So there's the answer to your question. Who do you cast besides Leto? You just let Uncle Chip run amok in the Tron world.
Perfect.
Perfect. And then before we get to that, we've also got Predator Badlands. That's November 7th.
It's wild with Badlands because I feel like it was one of those like movies I've seen a preview for every time, but now I don't feel like I've seen a preview for it in like a month, and it's kind of made me forget about it.
I gotta say, I'm pretty stoked about that. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, yeah, it'd be a good one, I think.
And then we got the Running Man with our guy GP. See if he can keep his winning streak going. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's him and what's the director's name who did Baby Driver, and of course he did like Shaun of the Edgar Wright. Yes, I like him too. So it's when you got a director and an actor that you like both, it's usually a pretty good chance you're gonna like the movie.
Yeah, so pretty solid next few weeks, I think. A lot of material for us, which I'm excited about.
Absolutely. Well, Andy, always fun to get on here and talk about movies.
I'm sorry if I didn't have a ton to say about Tron Ares, but I challenge anyone to come up with a ton to say about Tron Ares.
Andy, there will be people out there who have very strong takes about Tron Ares.
Yeah, well, what did you get roasted on YouTube about the other day? I forget. Was it? Oh, it was One Battle After Another. Someone strongly disagreed with you, a stranger. But hey, we welcome the comments.
Yeah, somebody let me know that when I accused One Battle After Another of having really nothing to it, of just like losing all credibility. They're like, you could say you don't like it, but this movie, whatever they said, it was like it's got a scathing critique of all this stuff, and I'm like, buddy, like, I think you're reading way more into it. I don't think PTA would tell you it's got a scathing critique of all this stuff. I think he was just like making stuff he thought was fun, and sure, it kind of like has elements of these different things in it, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that was just me. I just signed up. No, I'm just kidding. It wasn't.
Yeah, no. But yeah, I actually when I was at Roofman, I ran into a friend of mine at the theater. Was going to see One Battle After Another with his wife, and I was like, oh, can't wait to hear what you think. And he's like, is it good? I said, I thought it was good. I said, I didn't, I told him, I said, my friend I do a podcast with really loved it. I said, I just liked it. But anyways, he came out and we happened to be leaving the theater at the same time. I was like, oh man, I was like, what'd you think? And he's like, I'm not sure what I just watched. I'm like, I get that.
Look, that is a fair answer. I will not argue with that at all. I don't know that I would recommend One Battle After Another as a date movie.
Yeah, it's a bit strange.
Know. Yeah, it's a little odd.
Yeah. All right, Andy. Well, we will be seeing you in just about a week, and catching up on our next batch of movies. So,
yep, looking forward to it already.
Everybody, thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you guys next time.